Hey, good morning, everybody. I want to welcome you to the Magna Water Board meeting at 8885 West, 3500 South at our general office building. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Will you guys all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I would like to welcome our public and guests, and today sitting at our dais table is our engineer, Trevor Andre. Our sewer manager is, our wastewater, that's better, is Dallas Henline. Steve Clark is over our water, and Andrew Sumption is our HR. Jeff White, myself, Danny Stewart, chair and trustees. Leal Fitzgerald is our controller. Nathan Bracken is our legal counsel. And today will be helping me is Clint Dilly, our general manager. So we're going to move on to public comment. Does anybody here have an issue with our agenda today, a conflict? Okay, I don't see anything. So our first person to comment to the board is Tommy Martinez. So Tommy, if you want to come up and...
Yeah, we just wanna know what's going on with that raw sewage that came in our house in the basement. And I told these guys when they came in there, they'd take pictures and everything. And we told them it was blocked up the street by the Tongans. And, well, here's the thing on the plumber. He said it was.
Thank you.
It was in that drain pipe. And they came down there and put that suction thing in there. And it rushed all the way down to my place. And mine was the only house with a basement there. And it all rushed in the house.
So I got a question for you. So the day I spoke to you on the phone, did you say that, now correct me if I'm right or wrong, did you say that the Roto-Rooter I'm just going to use that went up the road, they got in our main line?
No. It wasn't
Okay. But so they didn't shoot nothing down there, because I was going to say if they did that, that's really against the law, because...
We just went up there and checked it. He pulled that big cover over on it, and it was stopped right there. And when they came down with that chute, then it come rushing down, and then it went right into my basement.
Okay, so Dallas, you brought me some pictures. I got to see all the pictures. They did the report, and the report showed all these rags. Rags, like they look like mechanic rags or whatever they were.
No, it's more like paper towels, toilet paper, flushable wipes. And then that mixes with just your typical sewer grit and organics, and it just turns into a black paste.
Okay. So when we talked, you never did really, you told me kind of a number. Do you know what a number is to make you whole?
Well, what was this one on that? Just to take that stuff off the toilet.
But I mean, but what I'm trying to say is they cut your walls, right? They cut your walls because you had sewage and everything. Have you had anybody give you a bid on, because when you talked to me, you told me it'd be about $20,000.
That
But
was just this one, where is it?
No, he didn't give us a bid. He gave us a glass voucher.
a what?
He gave it to the glass voucher, is that a thing?
And then the water company came down and gave us a bid over the phone just to put it back together. It was like 15.
Okay, now,
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I've got those numbers handy if you want me to.
will you please?
Sure. So the mitigation and the cleanup was $18,245.75. And then the restoration and the repair, to put it all back together, was an additional $16,280.43.
Okay.
So is that combined?
It would be total, so add those together.
Okay.
Holy cow.
You're roughly 35?
I did,
what?
yeah.
Is that
I was the
roughly
one,
35,000?
I was the one that was there that day.
Oh, you live in a house?
You just had come home from
So
work.
$35,000, right?
Roughly, yeah.
Roughly $35,000.
So I think the important thing, some things to consider for the board, we certainly sympathize with your situation. We know that that's upsetting and no one wants to be dealing with that issue. I do believe that we've handled it how we should handle those situations, with coming out, trying to assess what has caused the backup. And I think that's where we may differ with your assessment, is we don't believe that it was caused by something in the main originally, right, Dallas?
Right.
We believe it was associated with your lateral. And
I
that's,
pushed all that in the
well, that's,
house. Are you trying to tell me I
no,
pushed up the sewer line?
the issue from what, can you describe what you found so that the board and Mr. Martinez can?
Yeah, I think the important thing to recognize here is,
Yeah. We can pull up the pictures too on the
Yeah,
screen.
let's pull the pictures up, please.
so Mr. Martinez's house sits 2 or 3 homes.
I know exactly where it sits on the corner.
Yep, and
The red
that's,
brick home.
that's upstream of the manhole that had the debris in it. So, you know, no issues at the neighbor, no issues at the other neighbor, no issues across the street. The debris that we saw collecting in the,
Just to clarify, when you say no issues, how did you verify that there were no issues?
made contact with each of the customers by knocking on their door. So none of the
they-
surrounding homes had any of the same issues.
Does that make sense that,
Well, it does, but the question I have here is, so if they don't have any, they didn't have an issue, could that stuff came down? And could that came down through and brought the blockage?
The way that I perceived it, based on our experience and what we were troubleshooting that day, was the same type of stuff that the plumber was pulling out of the floor drain and pushing through the lateral is the same stuff that we saw downstream accumulating in the manhole. So it's not that, when Mr. Martinez said they went upstream and saw the blockage, and then we vacuumed it out and it all rushed down to his lateral, it was all below his lateral originally. So it was never upstream of it.
so do you have a picture of that?
So this is this is looking down in the manhole that's
This
two
is
or,
out on the street, correct?
correct, out on the street, 2 or 3 doors down from the corner of Tommy's home. And you can see that's just black and brown mush, toilet paper, paper towel, flushable wipes, anything that you would put down your sink tub or toilet. And then as that stuff compacts together in the lateral and the mechanical snake that the plumber's using to push it all, once he gets that to go, then it all rushes out to the main and we get kind of that surge flow.
So it's in a big surge going through?
Correct.
Okay.
And then that's when their home starts draining. We never lost flow in the manhole. There's still quite a bit of flow going through there, even if it doesn't look like it. But if we go to the other pictures, you can see that that's similar makeup and material type of what they're seeing on the floor and piled up there that they're pulling out of the drains. So, and if you can picture just a plugged lateral that's 4 inches and it's jam-packed with debris, and they're rodding that with a mechanical snake, you know, you can punch a little hole, and that's when it'll start draining. And they did that the first day. They got him draining, and he had to call him back out the next day. The next day, he stopped draining, and they worked on it for several more hours, and that's when they eventually made contact with the district.
They didn't do
Yeah,
it.
I thought we had a picture with some stuff on the floor there where,
It's real hard to tell, but right in front of that snake machine, you can see the pile of stuff that they're pulling out of the floor drain.
oh, yeah.
We had to go to my kids' house to sleep because of the,
Well, I know, I'm just looking at it and thinking, what a mess.
I just don't know how those rags and stuff would go up a 4-inch lateral from the main. I don't see how that would.
Right, they wouldn't.
So that's the challenge.
Well, I'm gonna make a recommendation to the board, okay? And you guys can go sideways, go whatever way you guys want. I recommend pay the $35,000. Let's make him whole. Let's put a policy together, because our policies change all the time. One time we do this, one time we do this. My recommendation, give him the $35,000. Let's make him whole. And then the district, get a policy in place, and let's make sure the policy, and give it to legal counsel so he can review it, and we can go from there. So I don't know if can that be a motion, Nathan?
It certainly could.
That is my
except-
motion.
Well, I'm recommending though, you've only seen one bid for fixing what's been,
we went with the cheapest,
how many bids did you get?
they told us just to get, you guys were bidding it. They sent their people over our house. And
Who is
that's
it that
what
we
they gave
used,
us.
Dallas? Who is it we used?
It was,
Is that the quotes from our insurance?
it is, yes.
So that's the underwriter quotes. We don't have any quotes from a contractor or
Right.
anything.
That's just from our insurance
So
adjuster.
you've got to get quotes from a contractor.
So my recommendation is go out, have them come out, because apparently this is from our insurance company.
I already fixed it. I mean,
No, the wall.
I couldn't wait for the insurance.
So do you have receipts of everything that you've
Yeah.
done? If you want to give,
Came out about the same.
if you want to produce every receipt to the city, to the water district, and that, I don't have a problem paying it if you have all the receipts, but
Okay.
we as taxpayers, as you are and I am, and us here, we can't just write you a check without just, throwing you a check out and say, here you go. We need all the receipts to everything that you've done down there to make you whole. And if you went over on to make things nicer, we can't fund that either. But we can fund, I'm willing to fund,
The 35?
well, if we have the receipts.
Okay.
I'd get in trouble if I said, here, Leal, go give me a check for $35,000. I can't do that.
How come your insurance company never covered any of it?
They told us to come up and talk to them today. We told them we were gonna meet with you guys. So they were gonna come after you guys. If we didn't hear anything good from you guys,
So-
they were gonna,
So do we want their insurance to come after us? What's your
Well,
recommendation?
typically, the two insurance companies will work together and fight it out.
and then who did you talk to today about the other person?
Just the state insurance, I call it state insurance.
Okay.
So my suggestion, the standard process is, it sounds like there's a question as to what's the cause. So typically, we've already reported this to our insurance company, correct?
And they
They
have
reported
made
it
a
to
found,
theirs.
they've made a finding that it was no fault of the
Yeah,
district.
so our insurance company has made that finding. So my suggestion is, before we go further, have the two insurance companies talk to each other, because that's usually the standard process.
Yeah, and my understanding is your insurance company found it was no fault as well.
To us.
Well, to the district.
Oh, yeah.
And so, in which case,
So-
their insurance company should pay for it, depending on the terms of their coverage.
Right.
And so that's maybe the question I have legally.
That's our challenge.
Is the way that this should work is, if it's the district's fault, the district's insurance should cover it, or, we pay for it some other way. But if it's the homeowner's fault, or if, not your fault, but if it's not the district's, that it should be covered under your insurance policy.
Right.
His
so-
insurance should help him.
Yeah, so that's,
And so, the difference, I would, just for the board, my understanding, the reason that the board has participated in the past is because when it's found no fault, but it is in the main, and there's no way to determine it was a homeowner.
Right.
It was something that we didn't know about. It wasn't due to improper maintenance. It wasn't due, the district's done everything in the past when that's happened and it's affected multiple homeowners.
Right.
There have been instances when the board has helped out.
Right, but I'm gonna step out of the lane right now. Insurance is the biggest fraudulent thing out there. They turn around and you pay insurance, and they're gonna pick and choose what they're gonna pay. I just seen this happen to a friend of mine here about 2 weeks ago on an incident, and he's been with this insurance company for 40+ years, and they denied him. And so my recommendation is to have the two insurance, ours and his insurance, work together. Let's come up, and like you said, if you can produce all the receipts of all the stuff that you've done, then I don't have a problem moving forward. But again, I'm the chair, but these guys are.
I agree with that.
Mick, can I maybe form a
Yes,
motion?
yes.
Then, because what I'm hearing you're saying, and this is my suggestion too, is I agree with you completely. I used to sue insurance companies, but that said, it doesn't sound like this process is completed.
Right.
So because there's a chance that if they both are on the same page, then it's a chance that their insurance company would say, yeah, we'll pay for it.
Right.
In which case, there's no need for us to go through it.
right.
But if it ends up being denied and they're left out in the cold, then that's when we could have maybe a further discussion.
Okay.
It just sounds like maybe we're a little premature at this point.
Okay.
I had thought, when I heard about this, that the insurance, that it had already been denied, but you haven't been denied yet.
My understanding is
I
that
don't agree with a lot of stuff, and I can't live like that.
No, absolutely not.
I can't put my family in something like that.
No.
I won't do it.
For sure, but
I fixed it myself.
so you fixed it yourself, but your insurance company hasn't denied the claim.
No.
Okay, so that hasn't happened yet. Okay. So,
They did too deny it because I got they did deny it because I got the letter. It's been denied.
okay, so they denied it, but have they talked with our insurance company yet?
Okay, they need to do that.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm not.
Can you give them the name of our insurance company so when they leave here today, they have the numbers that your insurance can come so we're not going back and forth and all that?
They talked about it.
Yep.
But like I said, if you two can work it out and then whatever we have to do on our end, I'm willing to do this. But my deal is we need to have a policy in place that actually stricts and stands for where we're at. Because as I read our policy, it's not really, I mean, it's kind of here, here, here. And we need to look at our policy and have legal counsel review it and then take it from there, if you guys are okay with that.
Yeah, I think that's a good approach. It's setting aside, what that policy does is it puts money that we would set aside in
Right.
an account. Rather than in the reserve funds, it goes to a separate account that's just set aside for situations where the district feels like, hey, it wasn't our fault, but we'll participate because maybe there's some.
Well, and I keep going
circumstances
back to the 7,200 deal when we had that backup that flooded all them homes, and it cost the district a lot of money. And I feel like on our end, we could have probably did things a little bit different, but you know what? We need to get a policy in place that's actually gonna be broad, so when something like this comes, it's either yes or no, and there's no gray in between.
So just for my benefit, why did your insurance carrier deny your claim?
Because these guys said they're gonna pay for everything. And they said, the plumber said it was the backup there.
So your plumber said it was the district's fault, but Clint, I thought you said that their carrier determined that it.
Yeah, they determined that it was no fault.
I did not. Sure.
Wanna make a copy?
The letter that I saw that it was mailed to Mick was from our insurance, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's
Have they
one.
really been denied?
Yeah, what did
No,
their
they
insurance
have,
say?
we don't use Kleinfeld. It's Kleinfelter that you've been working for, right?
Your insurance company?
Gladfelder? Is it Gladfelter? That's your insurance, right? Yeah.
Is that what the?
Yeah, that's.
Clint? I think Gladfelter's
National
through
Use.
Olympus.
Oh, okay. Okay, so Okay, that's through, oh, this
This
is
is
through
your
our,
insurance.
through our Olympus.
Yes,
So this is from,
This is from us.
this is from us. Gladfelter represents us through Olympus.
That's right.
yeah, so your, is this what you're referring to as your insurance? Okay, so this is our insurance
Yeah,
company.
that's right.
Have you received anything from your insurance company? Is
I
that,
don't think this is like paper bills. That's what it is.
Okay, yeah, they're saying that they initially found it was on the city side, but it was not from our determination.
so there's a conflict between the two, okay. So when that happens, typically the insurance companies need at that point to confer with each other.
Right.
And then,
Oh, that'll be good.
That's what I say, what are we paying the insurance for? They ain't covering anything.
well,
And
that's,
then deny, you know, it's just like California, and those houses they're going out of business. I mean, that's wrong.
Yeah, it is.
Trust me, I think about that every day. I think if I have something happen to my house, are they gonna cover it? It's like they pick and choose who they wanna cover.
yeah, I would say we do both. I say we instruct these people to call, can we make a copy of this? Because what I would suggest is that we instruct our guys to contact their guys and vice versa. Because I think the issue is, to our knowledge, did these guys do an independent investigation? Or did they just base it off what your plumber said?
This, you guys did, they're the only ones.
Yeah, you guys did an independent investigation, but has your insurance carrier seen the results of their investigation?
Did our insurance come in?
So they're just going off of what your plumber said? Okay, so that I think is the problem, is your plumber didn't have the ability to do the investigation that they did, and your plumber determined that it was likely on the city main side. And so these guys probably just went off of that, and they are denying you based on, in my opinion, an incorrect assumption. Because they're saying, well, they're denying you because they're saying, well, our policy doesn't cover the city's system, and therefore you're not insured. Go after the city, or in this case, the district. But and I don't have your policy, but I'm willing to assume that it does cover stuff that's in the lateral. So if they're instructed that it is in the lateral, and our guys can give them the information, hopefully so this is typically how this process should work. So it sounds like there's a next step that hasn't happened yet. So in my opinion, it's Mick, we can totally do what you want to do, but I say before you
No,
spend taxpayer money.
I agree with you. I want, like I said, I want to keep us out of trouble. I want to do the right thing. If we haven't went and made got it all done, we need to put the puzzle fully together and.
But if their insurance company is on the hook for this, and they've been paying for that insurance, they're entitled to it. So let's work together to make their insurance pay for it.
Yep.
And then if that's not possible, then we can come back and have this discussion. Does that sound fair?
You guys okay with that?
Because it sounds like your insurance company is operating off of just that initial fact sheet. They haven't talked with ours, they haven't seen the investigations we've done, and hopefully if they do, that will bring in a different section of your homeowner's policy that typically covers this type of thing. Now, I don't know what your policy says, but that's what the insurance company should work out.
Yeah, you guys are willing to come in and take a look at what we did. I mean, we replaced everything.
Yeah, but that should really be your insurance company.
Right.
And it doesn't sound like they have come in and they just saw that, said, it's not our fault, deal with somebody else. And they're trying to wash their hands of it.
Yeah, because like you say, you just, I can imagine. I mean, we've dealt with quite a bit of this stuff over when we had an issue and.
I was mad, 'cause I yelled at him, I said, I want your ass over here and get this thing cleaned up, this is my house. And I said, I won't bring nobody in here. I didn't even want to go downstairs.
Right.
They came over, I said, hey, just get it done. I don't care how you, and they said, get what is it, the disaster thing?
Was it disaster cleanup is what we used?
We don't make a specific recommendation, but we do recommend calling somebody like that with a disaster.
Do we have a list of people on that list that we could give our people when we have this? So
We do.
Okay, so we do give that to them?
We do, but we say you can use whoever you want.
Right. You can't say, use me.
Looks like True Restore was used.
Okay.
Is that correct? True Restore did the work?
So Nathan, really fast, do you want, where do we proceed from this?
So
And-
what I'm recommending is we contact our insurer, we explain the situation in greater detail, we send them a copy of this letter, and we say, here's the issue. Is we have done an investigation and determined that it wasn't in the main, that it was something in the lateral. American Family Insurance has determined that it was in our system, which we've shown that it's not. And so as a result, American Family Insurance is incorrectly denying the claim on an improper basis. And therefore, please work with them to figure this out and then report back. And then you guys can do the same. And so that way, now, I'm not going to guarantee that the insurance company is going to agree, right? And but by that point, maybe we can have the policy adopted, and so, we'll be dealt with in that way. But like, I think, so what they're excluding is, yeah, storm drain or water, steam, or sewer pipe off the resident premises. So that's what they're denying you on, is they're saying it was off the premises. That's where the blockage occurred. That's not what we cover. But if they're showing it's on the premises, this should not apply. Their denial would be inaccurate. So does that make sense? So we'll contact our guys and tell them to work on this, explain it. I'll do the same.
No, that's ours.
Are these ours? Oh, did we give them back their copies already?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Is that fair? Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
appreciate ya. Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy.
Okay, let's move on to our employees.
Okay, thanks, Board Chair. First, we had our three newest employees attend Flagger certification course. Gavin Ferguson down to Hooney and Taylor Warner. This is a good step for them as we get new employees. This is one of the first things we'd like to get them certified in so that they can be a good part of traffic control when we're doing some repairs. Helps keep us safe, and so we're glad that they were able to get that done. And then next we have Dylan Delbell. He's here with us today. What we brought him in for is, a couple months ago, we were looking at possibly making some changes to our health and wellness program to see if we could boost the employee enrollment in it, get them to buy in a little bit better. And so at that point,
When you say buy-in, explain to me what you mean by that.
that we were going to be doing things that they wanted to participate in better. We had the same employees doing it every month, which was probably, I'd say, around 24 of the 35 were participating all the time.
So when you, okay, I'm lost. So when you say 30, participating in what?
We
What,
do.
Is it something that we as the board don't know about? I mean,
No, you've approved it in the
Okay, but
past.
what,
We do monthly challenges where we encourage them to do things like exercise, healthy eating.
well, where do I sign up for that?
We'll get you in them. And so we do mental health months. We do
I need that too.
we
so-
do financial health months. We do a lot of things with it to try and help the employees better their health and wellness.
And I love that. That's a great idea. In fact, now, okay, it's all, I'm trying to put everything, okay, yes.
And so when we decided that we were going to change the program a little bit, we went to the employees and we asked them if there was any ideas that they could come up with that would make them want to be more involved, as well as help the people that, if they're already doing it, help the other people get involved. And to Dylan's credit, he was not only the first, he was the only one that stepped up, and he came with a lot of good ideas.
Great.
Probably the best of it was, not only did he come with a solution with some program ideas, but he also came with the idea of, hey, let's build a health and wellness committee like we have with some of the other things. And we get a person on each crew that will help drive their crews in reminding them to participate in these initiatives. And so with Dylan's help, we're making that committee, and we're just grateful when employees take the role of improving our culture, and so thank you, Dylan. We've got a gift card for
present
you.
him with a little something from.
He needs to be in the little back of my head, the voice is in my head, you need to be in there.
Do you have anything to add, Dallas?
Dylan.
Yeah. I would just say Dylan's a huge part of why morale at the treatment plant is so big. I think the cool thing about Dylan is he recognizes how hard the board has worked to try to increase morale over the last several years. And the board can do so much to increase the morale, but it's up to all of us to maintain that morale. So for Dylan to be able to see the whole picture and see all the moving parts, it's just a testament to how hard he works and how much he likes the district and his role. And we appreciate the mutual respect, and it just says a lot about who you are and where you're going. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Dylan.
And I'm real impressed, because like I said, when I come down and tour the sewer plant, you know, just, you guys are all great, you know, like a big family, and you guys work really good together, and if there's any issues, you guys figure it out, and I've always said this when I come down there, I'm just amazed how you guys all work together, and you don't see that much anymore.
It's good to see a positive person for a change, you know? Thank you.
Thank you.
I've been working on you. Okay, thank you, Andrew. So let's move on to our common consent items.
Minutes of the regular board meeting held February 12th, 2026. Minutes of the public hearing held February 19th, 2026. Expenses from February 2nd to March 1st, 2026. General expenses, $1,639,951.85. Signage bank payment, $83,530.83.
I'll second it.
Been motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Clint, let's move on to your general manager report.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. On staffing, just highlight a couple things on the water operations, the construction crew. We had that service maintenance position open. We've went through some selection, and we've made an offer, and he's accepted. So that position will start 23rd.
On the 23rd, October 23rd, or March 23rd.
March.
So it'll be a long wait.
Wrong season.
Yeah.
Who is it?
Daniel Klein.
Daniel?
Yep.
Daniel Klein. Came recommended, several people in the district. He's from the area.
From the area, has been doing cabinetry for a while.
Well, he's got 2 weeks, he can get us some cabinets.
That must be a tough job. That must be really relentless. And I just wondered, do we have any recourse on people to come and treat our customer service people bad?
Oh, well, obviously with customers, we're trying to understand what they're coming in so frustrated and angry about. So we have systems in place to try to diffuse those interactions.
Can you share them with me?
The first one is oh, hey, I can see you're upset. Let me have you talk to my supervisor, right? And just that initial, we call it stall and call someone. That usually brings the temperature down just by going through that act, because it brings, the customer now recognizes, ooh, my emotional level is enough. I can tell this person wants to pass me on to someone else, right? So that's the first step. That's usually pretty effective, but it's still discouraging. I mean, there's a downside to that in that the customer or the employee feels like they can't address the issue, right? And that's certainly an option for them, but we also don't want to subject them to unnecessary
It's taking a
abuse.
toll on our employees, though. This is the second employee we've had that's turned it down.
Yeah,
It's a tough role. So
It's a
what
tough-
can we do to improve that? Do we need to send letters out to our customers to say,
we could. I don't know that would it's gonna reach the people that we don't need to reach,
Right.
in my
Well,
opinion.
and right now, let's just say it, we're in a really ugly place right now
we are.
in this country. And I'm just gonna say, as me as the mayor of the town, I deal with this every day. Nathan knows what I go through, because he's our legal counsel, and it's ugly, and and you try, sometimes if they're wrong, you can't just say agree, because then they figure you're on their side, but you say, hey, I understand, but that still ain't good enough. People get really mean and nasty. I mean, and like you said, I understand your point, but I like what Clint does, is I wish I had some say, oh, by the way, here, let me hand this over to somebody else. Well, I'm the buck buck stops at me, right? So but I like that. I mean,
It does
because,
seem to be effective in a lot of cases.
but like I
But
said,
if the customer becomes belligerent and name calling and personal attacks, we have directed them to say, hey, I'd love to help you, but I can't help you if you're gonna call me names.
I gotta let you go
We
and-
need to keep this professional. Give us a call back when you are able. So
Is it
they,
mostly phone or in person?
Phone.
a lot of people say a lot of things over the phone that they won't say to you
Yeah,
face to
right.
face, right?
I
the
think
other things we try to do is we have a daily check-in meeting in the morning. We try to talk about those things. We try to have a sense of humor about it if we can. We try to talk through strategies. We work on mental health and really trying to, and Leal has done a great job with the team. I think it's one of those unfortunate circumstances. There's probably more going on. It sounds like there's some interest in going back to school.
How
So,
long has she been with us? 3 months?
no,
Probably 6.
6 months.
6 months?
And
she
I
was-
really,
She started in June.
I really like her a lot. She's
She
got a
was a
great
good pick.
personality, and she was able to
She added a
deal.
lot to the office.
Yeah.
didn't she?
She's a sweetheart.
Okay.
Yeah,
You know,
we're
but
so
I
sweet.
understand that with this incident that we had up here on 4100, I got called a death mayor, like everything falls onto me.
Awful.
That's crazy.
But we'll continue to look. I think it's always good to look at things that we can do.
Turn the volume down and say, hello, what? I don't hear you.
The hardest part is they're dealing with people that are having one of the worst days of
Yeah.
their year.
No kidding. I just don't.
But
think
nobody needs to be cussed and swore at,
No.
I mean, because I've done that and had people hang up and then I even get madder and then they won't answer the phone.
So,
No, and is there classes? I mean, I don't know what kind of classes, but
yeah, they have taken
Yeah,
classes
There's
on
customer service classes and,
on how to deal with upset
I
customers.
think you're doing a good job.
yeah.
You just can't predict what kind of stuff that's gonna come in on the
You know,
phone.
and each of us has a different sensitivity to that. Some people it doesn't bother, others it really bothers, and that's okay.
it's like having thick skin, but how thick can that skin really be,
Holy
right?
hell, it happy leather.
So that position, we did post in-house, and one of our other employees is gonna move over to that position.
Can I ask you really quick, just offhand, what is the pay of that job starting out? Do you know what that pay is?
I can tell you
It's
in
on the
just one
job
sec.
position. I thought
And I'm sorry, I should know all these,
One-ish,
23, I was thinking.
wasn't it?
I should know what these
low
pay is, but I just,
Starts at 21.46. The range ends at 29.80.
okay, and does that go by qualifications to get you more money?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, if you're gonna take all that abuse, you just will go down to McDonald's and make that.
They won't listen to you down there.
You get the wrong order. Okay.
I guess maybe we could focus on more ways that the customers feel heard and that we're responsive to them.
I think you're doing a good job.
So do I. The bad thing is when the customer is so mad, you can't talk over them, right?
Yeah.
Because they're just,
So that position will be filled, but we're having to wait another week before we can go outside. That'll be posted.
Okay, that sounds great.
and you thought the 4 10-hour days, right? And all the holidays and vacation and all that, but
Yeah.
On the operations, I'll point out a couple things. We have been, as you know, continuing work on draining and cleaning and inspecting the drinking water storage tanks. Unfortunately, we did run into issue that I'll have Steve and Trevor and maybe Don even might provide his input with regards to the painting system in the big tank over here.
Well, when was the last time, you told me, Steve, when was the last time we painted the inside of that tank?
I thought
5 years.
Has it been 5 years?
Yeah. 21. What's happened is the top layer is peeling off. I don't know if you have pictures.
I pretty well thought we repainted that because the top was all corroded.
It was repainted.
Yeah, 5 years ago it was repainted,
And it's coming off now.
yeah, it's failing, so.
So who did it? We better get a hold of them.
So that's where we can have Trevor and Don, maybe what we've investigated, what we found.
I remember we went out extra for that just because it was
Did.
corroded.
Yeah, because of that, yep, the metal.
Yeah, as you can remember, these tanks have periodically been taken down and repainted. Sometimes they're touched up, sometimes a whole new system's put
So
in.
can you, so
This
when-
this was a new system.
I
When
know,
was-
we paid for sandblasting and
Right,
repainting that
yeah,
roof. I
right.
remember positively.
We did, and this is the new system that's failing.
and that isn't the tank that what got in there, right?
No,
Is that we sandblasted it down bare metal, and then we put a 3-coat system on.
Right.
Put a sandblasted, and then we put a kind of an off tan color, and then we finished it with a white. And what is shown evidence here is that we've got a bonding problem between the second and third coat. So we don't have any rusting that's occurring between the coats, it's just that.
Just it's laminating.
What we're trying to find out now, we're looking through our records, if we can determine the magnitude of it. But it does mean we're gonna need to go in and lightly sandblast it to do what they call a profile, so that we can put another coat on.
Right.
And, anyway, I've never seen that ever in my career, and it's a rare, we don't know yet what the reason is. We're trying to see in the logs to see if we have a temperature problem. You know, did we have something that froze, that it did it? Excuse me. But it doesn't look like it's the entire tank. It looks like it's on the north side, but clearly our recommendation is gonna be here to make an emergency repair and put another coat on. We don't need to take it down there because all the primer and the first coat on it is fine. It's just our second coat, because you can see we peel it off in big sheets, it's just bizarre.
When was these tanks built?
60s. I think
ago.
they're in the 60s.
Yeah, but the whole question is, he could have had moisture on that, between those coats, and he wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, they're also analyzing the paint chips to see if the mix was correct,
Yeah,
which
but,
could
yeah, the
potentially
guy
be.
mixes it, and he probably didn't mix it right.
And that's, so we're, yeah, part of the
Liable
investigation.
for it?
Well, the company that did it in 21 is out of business. Tunemic has been very helpful. They're doing their analysis. They'll make some recommendations. They have some painters that we're trying to schedule to have come look a little more.
Is that all we use is Tiny Meat, because there's other better ones out there.
Well, they were the ones that provided the product for this.
They volunteered to provide paint for free with that second coat on.
That's pretty neat.
And so,
Tunimic's the leader in the industry when it comes to.
No, I don't know if I agree with that now, because Sherwin-Williams has sure tried to come up to speed.
I do agree with that. They make big strides.
But-
So I think the concern is timing. These tanks are critical to have online during June, July.
Yeah, middle of summer.
So we're gonna have to, if we're gonna do it now, we're gonna have to move rather quickly. Or we make the decision to clean it up and then put it back into service and do a repair later.
I don't think we want to do that.
I
though.
don't think so either.
I think we just need to
But-
do the emergency deal and get it done, because why go back through it? Yes.
They just gotta block it, and don't let any animals in the damn thing in between.
yeah, it's closed off.
When Matt called me, that was all he said is, hey, I need you to come up to the tanks. I got something to show you. I'm thinking,
Yeah, if you've got it down, there's no reason. like Nick said, to not take care of it right then. We don't want flakes going out in the water and stuff, that would be bad.
So I think we'll move forward then. We appreciate Don's. He's been knowledgeable about these tanks for almost as long as they've been there.
Don, do you have any idea? Don, do you have any idea how long? Don, do you have any idea how old them tanks are when they were put in? Because I keep thinking they were there when I grew up. Oh, okay, then they were there when I was there, okay, growing up.
And the comment that I want to make is you go into these tanks, at least particularly these older ones, and we've got a lot of evidence of corrosion. But I can tell you, once the district realized the importance of painting them, they have preserved those tanks.
Board
So you go in there and you look at them and you see all of this corrosion. They have, since they repainted them and used this system, because we used the, the tin paint, 25 years out of it since we painted it the first time, and we really have got good service on it. I got to compliment the district. They have never hesitated. Once they recognize the problem in those tanks, they're taking care of them, and we're going to get a lot of life on it. And I have never in my career seen this type of delamination between the two coatings. I've seen it between the primer, and I've seen other paint systems, but not this particular epoxy. So this is a first for me.
And Don, I'll tell you, I've been around them a long time, a lot of that coating. We need to look harder at the people who are doing the work. I have a feeling this isn't the first time they've had a problem, I guarantee you.
Well, it's frustrating because all the other tanks they did are in good shape.
Our exteriors are good. They did the inside of the smaller one here, and it's great. And like Don said, it's not the whole tank, it's a portion of it. So there was something that happened.
Well, it's not the company, it's the guys actually
Surely,
doing it. They're
yeah.
not paying attention, so
Yeah.
they come and go.
Workers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Different crews, not,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
I want to take a second, I want to thank Don though for you've been here my whole time. And I want to thank you for everything that you do.
Absolutely.
I've known Don for a few years. Hi, Don. But I remember those tanks when I was in high school over there.
Yeah.
I mean, in the 60s.
Yeah, Don's been involved in a lot of the critical decisions that I think have been great for the district, like the secondary water, the reuse, and the master planning and rates. Been instrumental in helping guide us, and done a great job.
Hey, I want to thank him for doing such a good job bringing you up through the ranks. Look where we're at now.
And Trevor.
Yep, we owe him that too.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Been a good man, Don.
All right, only other thing I'll highlight here is we did get the lease agreement signed by the Great Salt Lake Commissioner. So our canal shares, 75% of those we're gonna lease to the
5%.
Great Salt Lake, and so,
I
yeah.
want to know, do you want to get permission from the board to move if we get a number that's reasonable for that emergency repair to move on it and get them authorized, or do you want it to come back to the board to be approved?
Well, I think there's an item on the agenda that could give us a little more flexibility with that, depending on the estimated cost. Where the board last time asked to raise the limit for the general manager to be authorized up to 100,000. So if you think that those repairs would be below 100,000, which I would be hopeful, I think we could handle it that way if that goes through.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So maybe we address it at the end of the meeting, during the other, if that's okay with the board.
Yeah, let's do that.
And then if you can decide what you want to do.
Sure, but that stays within.
But I think that's a good point.
Because it stays within the scope of the repair, so
Yeah.
let's go that way.
The other things I'll highlight, wastewater operations, just excited that we're back to putting that reuse water to use. Steve and Dallas have been coordinating. I think your plan is to start at the end of March 1st of April,
Right.
Yeah, that's what we're shooting for.
So when will there be watering secondary?
probably April 1st at the latest.
April?
Huh?
Yeah, we're shooting for April 15th,
I've only had
when
a
it'll
couple
actually be
people
fully
ask.
operational, but there'll be water before that, so people will start
Okay.
seeing it, might have questions, but we wanna do some aggressive
Good,
flushing.
okay, I'll tell them. I'll tell them maybe. I'm not gonna guarantee anything.
Tell them to wait till April 15th to use. 'Cause
Is that
we'll be-
15?
We'll be flushing ahead of that.
Okay.
Uh-oh. We're not gonna flush,
Should be better than last year.
Yeah, it'll be a lot better.
we're not gonna have all them fish.
No, there's no fish. At least not in the reservoir, huh?
Yeah.
Dallas has been working on bids for contracting out the sludge hauling when ET Technologies closes and moves. I think he's got some promising numbers so far. He'll continue to evaluate that, but it looks like a potentially good option to do the contracted hauling.
When does it have to start? When will they actually be, because I heard they're already doing stuff out at the site.
Yeah, they said they're planning a soft startup date of January 1, 27.
27, okay.
And then on the office, Leisle completed a drinking water consumer fee incentive verification survey. Will be the basis for that new drinking water fee calculation that we have to pass along to the customer.
Yeah.
But again, if you remember, they've cut down how much that will be and they pushed it back, so
So it will now be 2028?
2028 fiscal year.
Well, I think that's when the fee will be
Be
due
due,
by us. and
right.
So if that's the
We'll have to
case, we'll have
collect
to
a year
start
ahead.
collecting,
When will
yeah.
we know what number? Are they gonna wait the last
She's-
minute?
I hope not.
It
The
will be
sur-
based on usage, right?
Yeah, the
Right,
survey
but I
didn't
just
really
wondered-
ask a whole lot of questions.
It's based on usage. Will it go in tiers or will?
It's just
Right now, it's not planned to,
yeah, it's just how much you
flat
use.
fee on
Right.
usage.
It will be up to us to decide how we pass that along.
Okay, but I'm just wondering, they will give you a number that they have to have?
Yeah.
And then you guys have to fit it in to see how it fits in the system?
Right.
When will we know that? Will we know before 2028?
Yes,
Hopefully.
yes.
Okay,
We should know, they'll use, I think they said they were using 2025's data. So we actually know, I think now we could
Yeah, I
get an
think so.
idea
okay,
for that 2028 calculation.
all right.
And then, as far as communication, just a heads up, I met with Jordan Valley, their GM, and Granger Hunters, and that Jordan Valley has that water budget policy for annexation, new annexations. They have to meet a certain water budget per acre, or they have to bring in their own water.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that's currently in place for Jordan Valley. So they're moving that internal to within their district now as well. And so they're talking with the districts on how that will be implemented, but it sounds like it would be a similar budget. And they would ask,
The drinking water budget?
well, similar budgetary per acre amount. They're just moving that inland now into their existing districts. So any development within the district will be, when they pass this, will be subject to that budget.
Right.
So they'll have to bring water if they want service from Jordan Valley.
Are we involved in that?
We are, since we contract with Jordan Valley.
Right.
And so it would affect us if we needed to go to Jordan Valley for more water
Oh,
to
if we
serve
need to
it.
go for more.
But if we don't, we're okay.
Okay. And right now? we-
Right now, it affects us less and it affects Jordan or Granger Hunter less. So they met with us together because it will affect us the least out of all of the agencies because we supply the most of our water. But I think it's important for the board to be aware that the industry is moving that direction.
Okay.
And we will likely need to be aligning our budget policy in some time in the future, so.
Okay.
And then we've got the golf course here today. There's an agenda item for the board to consider their request. It is towards the end of the
So you know
agenda,
what,
so
I
if you
want to move out of the direct, what do I want to call that? I want to move off the agenda and tend to the golf course stuff right now and then go back.
That's all with my report, so.
Is the council okay? I mean, the council, is the trustees okay with that? Okay, let's move over to the golf course. And that way they don't have to sit here and listen to everything we have going.
Do you guys want to come up?
So that is under administrative item 2, I believe.
Thank you, Leo.
How are you doing?
First off, this lady here that's in front of us today, her boy works for us, Gavin Henshaw.
Oh, no.
So. And we're very, very, very fortunate to have Gavin.
So all of these problems, you can blame her.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'll introduce them and then Trevor might provide a little context and then we'll, if the golf course would like to make any comments. But as you know, they have used a combination of our drinking water and then water from Kennecott to water the golf course over the years. And they have formally approached Magna Water and the board to consider some combination of transferring over that water to Magna Water and the reuse system now that we have. And so the cleanest option is the first one, which is what they use to water their drinking water greens, right? I mean, their greens. With drinking water. We feel like that is a pretty good option and we think we can make that work fairly easily. The rest of the golf course that they water with the Kennecott water, that's quite a bit of volume.
Right.
And it could be potentially some substantial capital costs. The golf course was going to look into that to see what they can do with their system and maybe they'll be able to give us an update. But they've requested us to consider those two options. And any participation that Magna Water District could consider to help offset or delay cost to the golf course, whether that's payback, whether that's donation of piping materials, they have requested that. And so I'll let Trevor, anything else that you wanted to add to that?
Just the option 1 connection, we did kind of a cost estimate of what that would take. And kind of looked a little bit more and revised that this week. Roughly, I mean, between, we'll say $35,000 to $50,000 to extend the pipe. They have a 4-inch meter that they use for the outdoor watering, and then they have a 1-inch that goes to the clubhouse. That 1-inch would need to be basically a new connection for that if they were to go this route. And so we've taken all of that into account. We kind of have a really good grasp of what's required, but that's kind of the cost range for that.
Okay. And they don't need to change the 4-inch, they can live with them?
We have an option to put in what is our standard 4-inch vault, but I don't believe that would be required to make the connection, to change it from drinking water to secondary.
How big is the meter now that furnishes it?
A 4-inch.
A 4-inch? And that wouldn't have to be increased on secondary water to a?
Not for the greens.
Okay.
So is that taking and bringing the line over so it lines up and then like we talked that day at the golf course?
Correct.
So a portion of that work benefits Magna Water. And I think
Right,
that's
right.
something, one reason that the board could consider is that the main in the road in front, it's in 2600 south.
Right.
the bulk of the cost.
Because we're gonna eventually do it anyhow, right?
It will need to be done at some point. So that's something for the board to consider. We do usually put the onus on development when it is in this situation. They usually have to front that cost if they want the water. But there are factors where, like I said, we benefit some from that. So that's something that you can consider. The second option, we're still getting information. I don't know if you've got enough.
We've done a lot of analysis. I don't know that right here is the time, and I don't have the figures, but it is a lot of water. It could be an average of 1,000 to 1,800 gallons a minute, depending on when they're using zones and which zones and how many. So it is a significant amount of water, and so the infrastructure that Clint mentioned is pretty significant. It's an 8 to 10 inch pipe. It's a large meter. So I think that one still needs to be fleshed out a little bit more, and there's an impact that has never been on our system that would then be there.
It
So,
needs to be evaluated, the impact of it. So are we incomplete at this point to make?
the option number 2, I don't think we're at a point where we can make a decision that that's
So out of the
feasible.
two, when you're looking at them both, would you recommend one?
I would, yep, 100%.
Okay.
I think the number one benefits both the golf course and
And
the
us.
district long-term. Would you guys like to add anything?
Yeah, I agree with that too. We want to move forward with number one.
Okay.
Like, I'd love to have that done this year.
Okay.
I think it benefits both of us. Aside from that, option number 2, this kind of goes, I mean, it's kind of off the script, but we'd like to approach you guys for some help. Like, we're reaching our 100-year anniversary this year. And the Copper Club is probably the biggest green space in that.
Right.
70 plus acres of green space open to the public. I would like some help, maybe using the 100-year anniversary as a starting point to reach out to other entities for grant assistance. To make the Copper Club more sustainable, when you're talking about the amount of water we use on the fairways. I don't know how old that sprinkler system is. It's 8 years old. It's not efficient. And I'd like to start.
And you could like do sections at a time, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, if using the Magna reuse water is a great option there, then I'll work with you guys to discover a better option. Something that's more sustainable and to help the Copper Club stay around for another 100 years.
Well, you know what, I'm gonna just make a comment or two. If the number one option is feasible for them and ourselves, I move that we go ahead. We go ahead and go with option 1 and help these guys get this put in. And
What's the cost for option 1?
it's right here between between $35,000 and $50,000.
Okay.
And that will, like Clint said, that will actually benefit us too.
Where will that come from?
It ties.
I'm sorry,
Okay,
did you make?
We're
a
talking
recommendation?
about the option 1, where it comes off 2,600.
Oh, where did the amount come from?
What's the cost and who's gonna pay for it?
We are.
Well, there would be options for the board to consider, could be any portion of that. We could most likely do that in-house.
As far as the extension?
As far as the extension.
1,800-foot extension?
So that estimate is,
Jeff, it's the 150.
180.
that estimate is assuming a contractor came and did
Correct.
that, right?
Correct.
So there could be some savings in terms of labor
So you're probably looking at half.
If we do it.
Half on the labor, right?
that could be passed on or could not be for the board to consider. The other option is you could do a payback agreement where the district would front the money and do the work, get it installed, and the Copper Cup could pay it back over time, potentially with the savings. So there will be savings when they use reuse water versus drinking water. You could say, hey, if you would pay what you've been paying until that's paid back. That's an option for the
They haven't
board.
agreed to that yet.
They haven't.
That needs to be done before we can approve
But the
it.
question I have on that though, is if it's gonna benefit us, I mean, you gotta stop and take that in consideration. It's not just benefiting the golf course, it's benefiting us. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yes, the portion of the upsize in the road benefits us.
It's 180 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And is that 35,000, the extension?
No, that's a portion of,
Very
That's a
portion.
portion of the cost,
Right.
because that includes, yes, that
So-
extension of that line, there's blow off on the end, there's the connection to the meter vault, there's the 1-inch meter.
so we didn't actually have a motion, on this.
Okay.
We wanted it to be informational for the board, to give us direction. If you wanted more information, if you wanted us to come back with more details on one thing or the other, that was kind of the intent here.
So the only thing we'll motion on today is to go ahead with option 1, but they still need to approve whatever you come up with, and so that we can then.
So do
approve
we
it.
know when you say it benefits us so what's the cost?
That's something we could come back with.
Good.
When can you have all this stuff done so we can have it back to us?
I think the intent was you wanted something in place before the start of your irrigation. Correct. When do you guys plan? May 1st. So we could have it in the April meeting,
Okay.
and we would get close. I think, Steve, as long as your crews could have that done.
If that's what it's looking like we're gonna go to, then
We'll move
kinda
that.
just
What,
wanna plan
how long
that.
will it take to do that, Steve?
I'd probably plan a couple weeks.
Not over 3 weeks. That's only 180 feet.
So I think it's doable.
But I say a couple weeks because you never know what's gonna happen. We might be pulled off for an emergency.
Another
so.
emergency. Sure. But it's like I said, we need all this put down and everybody agrees on what it's gonna cost and who's gonna accept
He may get me back in.
certain things. So
Okay, then I got it wrong because I thought we were gonna run this ourselves.
Well, that's an option, for sure.
I thought that's what we talked about. I thought we was gonna run it ourselves, and then they'll be liable for the rest of the stuff. But I thought my agreement was, I thought we were gonna run it over there. We talked about that we were gonna do that. And now it's all gonna come with this cost and this cost and this cost, so I'm kinda confused about it.
Well, I think we could get to that point, but I think we talked about the first step was they would come back and formally tell us what they wanted.
Right.
And
They want one.
and they want both options, right?
I mean, obviously, we want it to benefit both of us, and I think both options would.
Okay.
We haven't, I've looked over both options, and I've gone so far as to help you with the questions you've been asking. I haven't talked about the price of water. At all.
Yeah.
At all. I've given you guys what we pay Utah Power to run our pump currently.
Yeah.
I think it benefits Magna Water to keep the resources coming to Magna instead of to Utah Power. The resources meaning the money.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're willing to, we're willing to pay that same amount, but I don't know how much more it costs.
Yeah.
We don't know that estimate yet.
So do you guys have a count on how many heads you've got and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
So when can you give that to
We,
Trevor?
we have that,
They
and
have all
we've
that.
started doing an analysis, and that's where I mentioned that well. I mean, when they're in their peak season, it could be 1,800 gallons a minute that they're watering.
So is that what we base it on for option 2 to come up with a number?
Correct. But that full analysis isn't done. The impact on our system, what that cost might be, what they would pay monthly, we haven't got to that point.
It's just like we find on an airline, you walk into a place and you hear air leaking all over what they pay for the compressor cost. I have a feeling you guys have got a lot more leaks than you think you do under that ground.
I would agree with you, and that's where I would reach back out to you guys. Your support and help us. We're operators, right? We're both volunteers. We're operators of this property. We don't own the property.
Right,
I can't apply for a grant.
right.
I
We know.
love, there are many grants that suit our needs as far as, infrastructure and water conservancy. There are grants out there that we look at and we're just like,
Could Kennecott apply for the grant,
Kennecott can,
since they're the property owner?
they're the property owner, you can because American Water could be, because that's, would be supplying water.
So I got a question on that, Nathan. So under that deal with them, the grant, there's a bunch of grants. I understand what it is. It's kind of like this thing we dealt up here with this project that we're working on right now, is how, you know, because we're providing the water, right? We're gonna provide the water, and like Jeff said, there's a lot of leakage. He's assuming there's a bunch of leakage. How, since Kennecott owns the land, how could they get, how could we put any pressure on Kennecott to have them apply for these grants? Because at the end of the day, Kennecott owns the land, right?
Yeah, and so there's a couple things to keep in mind. As I understand what you're saying, is what you're asking is, can the district or the city also put in for grants? Because the city is the district and the city as government entities are gonna be
They
able
got a
to
grant
apply.
coming to us from the city coming up.
Yeah, but that's something that the city's providing.
Right, right.
So Rio Tinto as the owner could apply for those grant programs that Rio Tinto as a private for-profit company is eligible to apply for. But usually there's public entities have other programs that are in addition or separate to from what Rio Tinto could apply for. And so it's not uncommon, this is an odd situation, but for entities that provide some public service to a community that aren't eligible for a grant to partner with the entity that is, which would be the district or the city, to then have that entity apply for the grant and pass it through to them. I assume you're a nonprofit organization, right? So there's, and that happens relatively frequently. And so, yes, you could go and work with Rio Tinto, but I think what maybe makes the most sense is if you're aware of grant programs that you're interested in, give us a list, because some of those are things that Rio Tinto may be able to apply for that we can't, but I think more than likely, most of those are going to be things that we could apply for, that the city could apply for, that Rio Tinto can't. And so my thought is let's see what's out there, and then maybe we could
pass it over.
Yeah, or you could sit down with Rio Tinto and say, let's coordinate on this.
Sure,
What do we do? What's best for the Gulf District? It looks like Rio Tinto, there's some that you might be able to apply through and pass to them, and it looks like there's some that we can. But my guess is, and correct me if I'm wrong, most of what's going to be available are things that you can apply for that Rio Tinto can't. Because a lot of times with grant money, they're going to be like, okay, a government entity gets grant money, one of the richest corporations in the world that has mines all over the place, why are we giving public money to them?
And I think one of the things that could tie that together, which is why option 2 might be a little more complicated, is there may be some partnership we can make with Kennecott over that pump station itself. And so that's something that we're pursuing as well. I think that could be a win-win-win.
Because it's between the owner of the property and the water company.
Right.
That could be really valuable.
Yeah, then that could be an asset to the district that we could then in turn pass on the water and manage that potentially.
That's the two concerns I have with the golf course. Number one, your quality of your grass and your water leaks. Those are the two biggest things. You really need to look at that grass, and if you're using more water than you should be, I think there's a lot of help out there. Somebody needs to consider what grass you have, how much water it takes, and that's on and above, besides all the water leaks you have under the ground. So.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So where do we move from here? Do we have them get a list?
Yeah, what I would recommend, and this is not my call, but I would recommend, sounds like you've done some homework on this, right? Provide, I guess Clint, or whoever you guys designate, a list of what that stuff is, so we can take a look at it and see what makes sense. Now, I will be clear, there are going to be requirements. We'll need to have some sort of a pass-through contract. We may want to talk with Seth Ovison with local governments section of the state auditors, because there are some reporting requirements. So for instance, anything over $25,000 that you receive in public funds, whether it's from us, the state, or typically in those, different with federal government grants too, there's reporting, there are going to be mainly reporting requirements on your ends, but if it's a federal grant, potentially reporting requirements on ours. Right. Now, that being said, we may need to work with Rio Tinto on this too, with the ownership issue. It's just, each grant program is going to have its own separate requirements and its own separate eligibility criteria.
So do we want to sit down? I mean, once he recognized what grants, do we want to sit down, bring them through us, or do we want to kind of sit down and have a meeting with us in Kennecott and just.
Yeah, I would suggest that we see what's out there first, because you may look at it and there may not be anything that Rio Tinto can apply for.
Okay.
Or it may be that these are things that we can do, but Rio Tinto needs to sign off on it as the owner. So I think it's premature to schedule anything with Rio Tinto until we've seen what the
Okay, no, I was just
actual-
asking how that works, so.
And I agree with you, Mick, as far as that 180-foot extension down the main street, which is in the city. I don't have a problem with that, but I think we need to nail down the cost
No,
and say.
I can agree,
So-
I agree with that.
So if, what I'm hearing is we would come back to the board with next month with a final cost that would be what Magna Water's participating in and what we're providing, and then the cost that they would need to be expected to pay back. Is that
Yeah.
is that a
That's
fair?
what I was hoping, because I don't have a problem, anything that goes in the street, I don't think we necessarily need to push them on because they're an existing customer, not that it's a new facility where we, push that on as part of that, so.
How does that sound to the board?
I'm a little different about that, but my different is if we're gonna put that, if we gotta run that line over, why, let's just put it in.
Well, I think we are saying we would put in
We would
that,
put it in and then,
but then the 4-inch to their.
okay, oh, no,
property,
no, I understand that part, okay.
That would be what they would be responsible to
Okay.
pay back. Does that seem
Yeah.
reasonable?
I think that's.
And we could just have them pay back materials for that portion, or we could have them pay back labor and materials, since if we're putting that in. So
Bring it back to board, and then we can make a decision on that.
we'll make sure that those options are all available in that cost,
Okay.
so that you could determine what combination works. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, I don't wanna hold that up at all.
Does that work with the golf course?
Yeah. And, yeah, I really wanna use this as a starting point to build a partnership
Right.
with the board, with Magna Water. I keep talking about 100 years, but it's important to Magna, it's important to this, the community. And if this is the basis or starting point for like a legacy project that we can apply for to ensure that stays down there, that the course stays for another 100 years,
Well, like I said, this is how I feel, and I'm gonna speak as the chair of the board, and I'm gonna speak as the mayor. I don't wanna see that golf course go away, so whatever we can do to help sustain that golf course. If we lose the golf course, you might as well say kiss Magna goodbye, because that's all we have out here that's ever stayed here. And you guys have worked very hard to keep that, you run off a shoestring. And, so whatever I could do at my end, I'm willing to, again, I have people I answer to too, so.
But I want to see the golf course stay too.
So, I think we
Doyle
could.
wants to talk.
I think we can make a motion to move ahead on option one if we need to.
I agree.
But we also need to continue with option two and get the rest of the data from the golf course on option two, because we have incomplete data.
Right.
I think we're getting there on that. We just have the analysis. It's so much more volume that it changes what we can do, how we would approach that.
Okay.
So that's what's gonna take a little bit of time.
Well, if it is 1,800, that would make a big difference over 1,000. That's almost double.
Yep.
So, I don't know if they have anything that you can run across the ground that would determine if there's a leak or something in the line. I mean, all I know is you can shut the valve off and see how long it takes to, and it would probably go like that.
Yeah.
There are
I mean,
companies that have
yeah.
sounding
There's
equipment.
sound.
Yeah.
It's a lot of water. There's probably some leaks. I mean, you've got trees, it's mature, their pipe's been there a long time.
We just know in this ground, it doesn't go to the surface. A water leak doesn't go to the surface, it goes in the ground.
Yeah.
It goes down into that pipe, right, where they need to get that all piped in. Okay, that's it. Thank you, you guys, appreciate ya.
Can I ask a question?
What is that?
This is Kennecott's property, or Rio Tinto, or whoever, if it's a major improvement for their personal property, wouldn't they be interested in paying money to have it improved? If it's an upgrade for their property?
You know what? You would think so, but unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. And I'll give you detail down the road, so.
They're really tight right now. They're being very cautious what they spend.
I know, I understand that.
They won't talk about that.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we have a motion on the floor that, to
Did you
continue with
second it?
option one, so we just.
The
need
motion
to
on the
put that
floor, option one, we need a second on it.
I'll second that.
Been motion second, all in favor? Aye.
out. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to engineering.
Okay,
Let's move back to our regular meeting, back to on our agenda.
Thanks, Chair and Board. The engineering report, things to note, the influent pump station project, moving along well. The pumps, the screw pumps are in there. They're working on some power things, and then we'll be able to grout those channels, and we'll see those spin. That'll be really, really great. They've installed some large manholes, continuing to put in some of that piping, and the grit is moving along well. Also, a lot of electrical and mechanical within the building, and then also working on one of the grit separators and the piping over to the new grit building. Hayneswell number 8, we have that out to bid right now. That is strictly the drilling of that well. The building, we're still working with the EPA and that grant funding, and that'll be used solely for the building, the pump station itself. So we move forward on the drilling of that. The bids will be due on the 23rd. We had a pre-construction meeting, which went really well, or a pre-bid meeting, sorry. Went really well. Seems to be quite a bit of interest. There's, I think, 8 contractors that have requested plans and specs, and so looking forward to that bid opening. West Side Collection Project 1B, the fiber optic conflict. We've got a final design on that. We're turning that over to BD Bush, who was a contractor on that project, to get us a cost.
Who's the contractor?
BD Bush.
Oh, never heard of them.
They did the collection piping install. They have a separate bore contractor, but there'll be a separate one for this also, because it has to be under UDOT's spec and one of their preferred contractors. So we'll have a number on that, I believe, by next month. We change house. We do have 90% plans that we'll start reviewing, and we'll share some of that information with you. Zone 3 reservoir, there's a lot of groundwater up there. Didn't see a lot in the geotechnical, but we're seeing quite a few little bubble up
Springs.
areas, and so we've been chasing that a lot, working a lot on the drain piping to dry that up. Very important for the constructability and long term on that. They've installed some of the 16-inch pipe, and that was going well also. Lead and copper, that project is underway. They're starting on 9100 South. They did some saw cutting and investigation yesterday and today, and they'll start replacing service lines on our side starting next week, Monday. We've had a lot of good interaction with the public. They seem to be receptive of allowing us to replace their lines. I think we have a couple that have denied it, which is okay.
Really? I can't believe that. It's weird.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want your line changed out for nothing?
For yard displays.
Yeah,
Of 'em.
one of them has a lot of trees. He really loves his yard, and he doesn't want anyone touching it. And
So
that
we
is,
do have them sign a waiver? or-
yep, exactly. And then we just have to track it, and each year we have to, notice them and say, hey, you should get this replaced. And then if the home sells, we have to update, inform that new person, but they're not eligible for us to replace it in the future, which they understand.
Do we connect inside the house where the main goes to?
It depends on what the material is coming out. We're seeing a lot of them are copper stubbed
Oh.
and then galvanized to that, and so we'll replace up to that. Some of them we are gonna go inside.
I just
but
wonder what you're gonna find inside.
Yeah, it's,
So what do you do when you hit a problem like that? Do we write a letter and say,
well, the contract,
cost there,
the
right?
contract is to go into the all the way to the shutoff valve. So we're covered that way.
One.
Yeah.
Some of them don't have shut-offs.
Some of them have whatever wonky valve they had at the time too. So we'll end up improving some of that too for them as part of this. And that's all under the contract.
Well, that sounds great.
And then, yeah, the EDR just in design there, for the finish and feed and the master plan. We're moving into our rate study analysis portion of that. And we can report more on that in the future, but
Yeah.
that's it for
Excellent.
now.
Thanks, Trevor, appreciate the report.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on, Steve, to your water report.
All right, thank you, Board and Chair. So the culinary water production for the month of February was 94.02 million gallons, or 288.56 acre feet. And that's a 0.38% decrease from February of 2025. So far, year to date, we've purchased 60.02 acre feet of water from Jordan Valley. As far as the call-outs go, we had a total of 14 for the month. 10 of those were on the water side, and 4 were on the wastewater side, for a total of 45.5 hours. 30 of those were water, and 15.5 ended up wastewater.
Steve, do we notice them lower in the wintertime than in the summer?
You know, it just varies. I mean, yeah.
So temperature doesn't matter as,
It does play part in it, but it kind of changes the calls from a different type of calls. Like this month, we didn't have any main lines. We had one service line, and then the rest of them were pretty much, like for the water part anyways, the rest of them were on the homeowner side.
it seems like when we get really extremely cold weather, that seems when everything shows up.
Yeah, it does. I mean, but at the same time, during the summer, the spring, fall, it kind of, the ground's shifting, and we start to see a lot then too. So it just depends. It varies. And that's really all I have, unless you guys had any questions about stuff
Any
we talked
questions?
about earlier.
No, thank you. Okay, Dallas?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I've got just a couple things I wanted to go over. Mr. Dilly mentioned that we filed the annual biosolids permit. That's an annual report that we have to do to the state. That just talks about how much sludge we've hauled, how much chemical we've used. There's 2 different units that they look at that in. 866 dry metric tons. That's how we report it. And the way we calculate that in-house, it was just over 14,045,360 pounds for the year 2025. That's 440 loads with no deficiencies reported. February operations are really stable, even with the fluctuating temperatures. We've been able to walk the mixed liquor suspended solids concentrations in the aeration basins down to about 2,000. That's going to be really good for us as we move into April and May. We like to operate between 1,800 and 2,000 during the summer months. So to be there, that's a good head start for us. When I say operations are stable and running well, I think the board's been around long enough to know that there's been some issues with ammonia in the past. Ammonia is really stable. We're getting good nitrification reliability, and everything's looking really good. So the collections crew.
I got one question.
Yes, sir.
So the ammonia thing, does it have anything, we've had really good weather.
Right.
So does that change when it's really cold and the bugs are cold?
Really cold is one factor in it. The mixed liquor concentration, if that gets too high, and then our lack of air injection. So, but when you balance all those out, we can keep the ammonia low. So we've got a monthly permit limit of 7, but then we have a max daily of 30. And we haven't been over a max daily of 3 this year.
Wow.
So we're doing really well. Just an update on the collections crew and some of the maintenance that they're doing. Right now, they're working in downtown Magna. They're on the 8800 block below 3100, and they're kind of working their way north and then over towards that corner pocket of 84 and down there by Magna Main Street. So And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman, unless you've got any questions.
Nope, that's it. Thank you. Leo?
Thank you, Chair and Board. The only thing I have to report that we need to comply with by the end of this month is our impact fee report. It's due to the State Auditor's Office on March 31st. Wanted to also report the pretty much final trial balance was submitted to the auditors this week. So Mick, you just signed a auditor's engagement letter.
Right.
They should be up and going probably after, I don't know, when they have time, but everything is submitted to them. And that's my report, unless you have any questions.
You guys have any questions?
Well, that's good.
Okay, thank you. So I guess we'll move on. Andrew's left the room, so let's go to water and sewer availability.
Okay.
Go ahead, just go ahead.
Okay. First one here is SLCE 319 development. So this is, let's see, I'm gonna pull it up on GIS so we can see visually where this is. Anna Caroline Drive, Parkway Boulevard, if you know where the Winco is over there. If you head north along that street.
Is that along the Winco Road, right? Okay, I know what you're
correct.
talking.
Just keep heading north. 2400 south goes over Mountain View, and this is 2300
Under Mountain View, right?
over the top.
Goes over the top.
Oh,
Yeah, but just, give you an idea of where we're at. This development has purchased parcels on both sides of 2300 south. And what they're planning right now is a single warehouse to the north. And you'll notice in the letter that we reference our water and sewer in 2300. Still to be determined if that's remaining. In initial conversations, that would remain. Right now, it's in right-of-way. We would get an easement as part of that. But as far as providing water and sewer, we have sufficient flows, fire flow, and capacity, and we would recommend providing water and sewer service to this development. Do you have any questions?
I don't, we need a motion on it, right?
yep. So, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for SLC 319 development located at 5750 West, 2300 South for sewer and water.
I'll second that.
Been motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Trevor, I'll let you take the next one, and then we'll
Okay.
come back over to Andrew.
Next one is Moody subdivision lot number 4. If you recall, we had a previous subdivision, Moody Sillmaster, and what that was a commercial development. They put in the initial infrastructure with that development, and then the lots were bare. And so as each of those lots come in and develop, we're evaluating what goes in there and those connections. So this is lot number 4 of that subdivision. We did lot 8 and 9
So Trevor,
a few
this
months
is where it
ago.
was one big lot, and so then they decided to subdivide it.
Correct.
So how do we get to water and sewer? Do we have to do a right-of-way to get to the back lots?
So when they did the overall subdivision, we already had, and this is pretty accurate, we already had water in here, a water loop. And they ended up putting in a secondary and sewer back into here. It's like a cul-de-sac. And then they stubbed out services to each of these lots. Very similar to a residential subdivision, but it's a commercial one. And so when these lots, all that main infrastructure is in, and when these lots come in, then we know what building type is gonna be there, and then we evaluate the service specific to that building on that lot.
So how many are still vacant then?
Oh, there's gotta be 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 5.
Is there impact fees for each? one?
Correct. Yeah.
All right. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for Moody subdivision lot 4 located 2258 South Moody Drive.
I'll second that.
Been motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Andrew, I'm coming back to you, so I'm all over the place this morning, apologize.
You're okay, I apologize, I had to step out, I had multiple phone calls from an employee and would need to make sure it wasn't an emergency. So, everything was okay though. So, as you can see, we have 35 of our 36 positions currently filled here at the district. Some of the trainings that we have coming up, we have our biannual on-site CPR and first aid and AED training coming up on the 23rd of March. We have Gene Stott getting ready to go to water efficient landscaper training so he can care for our
Where is that at?
gardens. It's through Jordan Valley. It should be a good training. We have our team building coming up in April for the second quarter, and then we have the fire department coming out to do an on-site fire extinguisher training with us at the end of April. This month we're focusing on bloodborne pathogens. It kind of coincides with the first aid and CPR training, so everybody understands the risks that they're taking on as they respond to any emergency with first aid or CPR. We got some conferences coming up, probably the next two that are coming up that are going to be before the next board meeting. March 16th through 18th, water users in St. George, and then March 21st through April 2nd, Utah GFAO. Leah will be attending
This
that.
should be the 31st, not there
Oh,
for 2 weeks.
20, that is a typo. Apologize.
Where's that?
That one's in St. George as well. That's the government accounting organization. So we've started the succession planning. The managers went through and filled out some information on where they see the key positions are and needs that are going to be coming up in future years, as well as some of the risks that they're seeing. Right now, we're in the stage of the employees are filling out a survey on positions that they might be interested in filling, and then next week we'll start meeting with those employees to align their goals with the district goals, give them a better understanding of what's going to be available. And then lastly, annual employee goals. We've wrapped those up. We brought them to the board to review. We'll take any changes that the board sees fit, and then we'll get started on them. That's it for me, Chair and Board. Thank you. Is there any other questions?
On the April 22nd to the 24th, Jordan Valley is putting that on, is that right?
Yes.
Yes, correct.
And where will that be?
At their facility.
At their
Oh,
facility.
at their facility?
Yes.
Is any public invited to go?
Yeah, I think anybody can do it. Landscapers, they encourage landscapers to get it so that they can start performing those things here in the communities when they go build somebody's landscape.
So does that make sure that the contractor's putting something in that they could get a grant for and get reimbursed for?
I believe so.
That's what the whole thing is for qualifications.
Yes.
We also have that class on the 15th, April 15th here,
Oh,
that
you
Jordan
do?
Valley puts on, the local scapes class, and they'll go over a lot of that for the public.
Who teaches the class there?
They do.
It's Jordan Valley,
Oh, they come here?
They
So is
come
that,
here.
that's at night,
You don't
right?
get that certification.
What time does that start?
5:30,
5:30?
April 15th.
How long does it go for?
It's about an hour.
Okay.
We had a pretty good turnout last time
We did.
that.
We'll be getting a flyer put together and sent out.
So that one that he's talking about is geared towards homeowners. This is a larger course that's geared towards landscapers themselves.
Yeah, the
And then
one on
there's
the
a,
26th.
and then there's a exam that they have to pass to show that they're qualified.
Oh, wow.
And then they carry that qualification.
Well, thank you, Andrew.
Yep.
Okay, let's move it on to the our project reward and agreement. Trevor?
Okay. Thank you, Chair and Board. First one here is for JUB Engineers. If you remember, they helped us with design of West Side Collection Project Number 2. As they got done wrapping that up, I believe they did a really good job, very thorough, responsive to our concerns and our comments during that design. And we had anticipated doing project number 3 design as well. So I asked them to put together this task order, scope and fee for design of West Side Collection Project number 3, and that's what this is for. If you have any specific questions to what's in there, otherwise.
So is that gonna be on and above what's already been approved, or?
So they did, we had already approved West Side Collection Project 2, and we took that to 95% because we weren't gonna bid it, so those specs and plans are complete. And then we wanted to move to designing project number 3, and that's where this scope and fee is for.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the JUB task order for West Side Collection Project 3, design and bidding in the amount of $190,200.
I'll second that.
Been motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Trevor?
Thank you. Jump back here. Okay, we just talked about West Side Collection. So this easement is for West Side Collection Project number 2. There's a large portion of our existing sewer, I'll pull up a map here, that runs along Highway 201, along the south side, between 8,000 west and 8,400 west. And as part of project number 2, we're gonna parallel that sewer line. It's this one here, you can
What's
see.
the offset?
Offset?
Yeah, what's
Yeah,
the-
it's roughly, it differs a little bit, but generally around 30 feet of separation between the two. And that puts us a little bit further to the south, which essentially all these parcels are Kennecott parcels. Primarily, the existing line remained in the UDOT right-of-way. With our new alignment, we're needing some easement from Kennecott for this new line. And so that's what this easement agreement is. We have a pretty standard easement agreement with Kennecott that we've used throughout the district over time. It's changed a little bit. So we've gone through this, reviewed it with them. Nathan and I have both looked at this and reviewed. And it gives us the easement that we need for access to maintain this sewer line. And if you look at the last page in your packet with this one, you'll see a cost associated with that easement. Keep scrolling.
You were able to cut that down a little bit.
So in discussions with them, these are in their mind and according to what they've been offered, kind of prime areas, near 8,000, near 201. And so they've actually got some offers for these properties that are quite high. And they weren't interested in negotiating the easement cost.
Well, it doesn't
And
hurt to
so
try. It doesn't hurt to try.
we're beholden to that. We do need it. They're still fair in the respect that they're looking at a 20%. A lot of easements, when people are getting those, they can be a lot higher than that. So that equals out to $6 a square foot. We've got 27,955 square feet for a total of $167,730. So as part of this, going through with the agreement, it would also be to pay that cost for the easement.
Okay, so that cost has to be associated with that. Okay, so, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the lease agreement with Kennecott for,
The easement.
the easement agreement with Kennecott on the West Side Collection Project 2, the amount of $167,730.
I'll second that.
Been motion second, all in favor? Okay, Dallas.
Thank you, Chair and Board. We've got today presenting the annual acoustic assessment project that we partnered with RH Borden. We're targeting this year 250,000 linear feet or just under 50 miles of sewer pipeline. I've got a picture of a map to kind of talk through about how we're prioritizing and targeting the system.
Wow.
Anything that's orange has been done, and we have a solid baseline on. We won't redo that this year. Anything in that main trunk corridor that's red, yellow, and green, we'll target that area specifically. We no longer assess downtown Magna. We know that based on pipe conditions and roots and stuff, we have to flush that twice a year. So we don't inspect that acoustically. And then on those main trunk lines, we don't acoustically inspect those. We did it initially to establish that baseline and then get these geotags so that we can populate these base maps into our GIS system. But really, our strategy is that center corridor. That's where we spend most of our time. These guys will come in and they'll assess all of that. That would take us over a year to do. They can come in and help us out with that. It gives each section that's assessed a grade from good to poor. If there's anything that comes up that's, on a 1 to 10, 5 or less, it'll automatically send us an alert, and we'll be able to go and target that section specifically. So,
So does that determine, Nels, does that determine leaks or quality of the material?
it'll detect any type of blockage or flow restriction.
Oh, okay. That's
So-
all it is for flow or blockage?
Yep. It's been a great service for us. So they're now, through your permit, you have to inspect your entire system X amount of times per X amount of years. This is now an approved inspection device. So if we run this equipment through our system, we can check that box as an inspection. So,
So everything you've got green and red now will be yellow by next year?
no, so when you look at that, those are the different grades that have come back. So X amount of our system is green, which is a grade of 7 or higher. Anything that's yellow would be 7 to 4, and then anything that would be red would be 3 to 0. So if you see something that on that inspection day resulted in a red section, then we would go out, immediately flush that, and then it'll go back to green. So it's just one way to track, and then we've got a dashboard that we can layer the data year over year, so we can see how much we're improving. Right now, we've got about 95% of our system is 7 or higher.
Oh, wow. Good.
That's good.
So, but without the data, we're just guessing. But this is using technology to strategically maintain and assess our system.
That's pretty cool.
So,
I remember when they came up with that, saved a lot of manpower.
and what we're asking for on this contract, Mr. Chairman, is just $64,500 is the dollar amount.
Okay.
How many miles of pipe is that?
It's about 47.5.
It'll say 47.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the annual acoustic inspection services with RH Borden, the collection system in the amount of $64,500.
I'll second that.
In motion, second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, Trevor, let's do the lease agreement with Kennecott.
Okay. So water right lease agreement, this is for a Kennecott Spring Right 593198. And right now, we collect that water and we put it in our Zone 2 reservoir. And we've been doing that since that reservoir was built, 2021, and we do an application, or rather Kennecott fills out an application each year, a temporary change application to allow us to use that water. Back in 21, when we first started taking the water, there was talk of a lease agreement, there was a draft of it, and it went nowhere. We don't truly know where the hangup was. It seemed like
That's
Yeah.
personnel changes.
personnel changes at Kennecott, and it slipped through, but they reached out to us several months ago, late last year, talking about this lease agreement. They wanted to get it back in motion and get it in place.
That's a little creek that runs down?
We've piped it from within their property, and it makes its way over to our reservoir. It was like 10 I want to say roughly 10 acre feet a year. It's
Able to fill
it's
up
not
the
a
bathtub for the horses.
tremendous amount, but what I've been told, like over the winter time, you know, we'll lower the level of our reservoir and it's full. I mean, it's just a constant flow of water.
So maybe it's, depending on how much rainwater we get. determines-
We've seen it fluctuate a little bit.
Oh, really?
We measure it every month, and that's how we report to Kennecott, that reports to water
So
rights.
Kennecott probably has got a water right on that water.
They do, and they need beneficial use. We
Right.
provide that. So with all of that, they would like a lease agreement in place.
$10.
The right is 29 acre feet, but we have not seen it produce that much. Like I said, around 10 acre feet each year. If you scroll through, what this comes with is a cost to the district. And the way it's structured here is year 1 through 5, which they want to go retroactive back to 2021 through end of 26. It would be $10 per acre foot. So 10 times 10, $100. I mean, we're $100.
Costs us more to write it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty insignificant amount of water, but they would like this in place.
They're
And
just trying to get credit for it, right?
Right.
yeah, I think within there, to be able to lease that water and have it
Yeah.
documented this way is important to them.
Well,
It's
They
a
never
benefit.
want to be accused of giving something away.
I
Yeah.
can think, back in the day, Bazant and those guys grabbed the water that was going down Crucial Creek. That's been a plus for us.
Yeah,
If the state would've got a hold of that, that could've been pretty bad.
yeah.
And I think it actually helped us be able to get it over in C7, right?
So, I recommend approving this lease and allowing us to move forward with Kennecott.
The lease agreement.
Yep.
So, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the lease agreement with Kennecott for water right 59-3198.
I'll second that.
Any motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Trevor,
Okay, last one.
it's all on you.
Okay, this is a storm drain easement. We've discussed this in the past. There's construction waste management, the waste management company near the wastewater treatment plant. Their intention is to reroute some stormwater that runs through their property so that they can expand their waste site. And in doing so, they've approached us for an easement through a portion of a wastewater treatment plant property over to take that, pipe it and move the stormwater into, what's the? Kersey. Yep, Kersey Creek. So-
Did they take out the reservation? Were they the ones that marked this out, or did we mark that out on the list?
Us. So I'm in, Nathan and I are still working through this, some back and forth. But what I'm looking for here is, we've discussed providing this easement. So just an approval to continue to refine this agreement with Nathan and myself and move forward with them on providing the easement. One of the things is that we've kind of had some back and forth with them. First, it sounded like it was an easement to construction waste management, and then they provided something that had Magna City on it, and that made some, confusion on our end, and I've gotten to the bottom of it. What they're working on with Magna City is a storm drain, management agreement. So this storm drain pipe would be owned and managed by construction waste management. It wouldn't be turned over to any public agency, and that's where this agreement is with them, specifically.
That's good.
And not with any city or
Doesn't add any
other
cost to the
entity.
city.
No, and we'll make sure that agreement is, we're not providing an easement if that agreement isn't in place.
Okay,
Does
good.
that make sense? So,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the storm drain easement agreement to be granted to construction waste management.
I'll second that.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, let's move on. Andrew, Leal, Clint, Revolution.
You wanna take that first one, Leal, the?
Yeah, sure. Oh, so this is our resolution 2026-02, and it includes basically 3 changes to our AR&Rs. So the first portion of the resolution is changing, sorry, let me get.
Section A,
Section A.
6.4.
Yeah, so the first one is, isn't it the procedure, or purchases?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it takes Clint's authorization from 50 to 100,000 that was recommended by the board last month. And then the following B, letter B through F, I believe, has to do with
The new junior executive.
adding our junior
to the AR.
executive classification in the AR&R where it's applicable.
And just, can I speak to that?
Yes.
So most of the changes to the junior executives are in addendum E of the AR&Rs, and that's the addendum that goes over all of their benefits. But we also needed to make some conforming changes throughout other sections of the AR&R. So this is kind of structured just sequentially with the numbers of your section, but categorically, we're increasing Clint's purchasing threshold. Then the rest of these changes are dealing with just junior executive stuff.
Right.
So it'll look weird as you go through, because we're saying we're adopting the attached version of addendum E, and then we're amending all these other sections. And then the third category, and I'm just beating Leal to the punch,
You're good.
is to make our language consistent with the 3 tardies policy that you had. We had some inconsistency in the AR,
In
so
the
it uses the
language.
same term.
Yeah. And that's all that this resolution does.
I'm sorry, I figured that would be easier than going through
You're
like
good.
9 different lines of technical legal changes.
Thank you.
That looks good.
So we have to approve it, right?
Yeah, so what'll happen is the way I drafted this resolution
Right.
is if this is acceptable to you, you'll approve it, and then we will then implement these changes to the AR&Rs, which will be easy. We'll have to
Right.
update the, pagination and things like that, and then we'll get it uploaded.
Yeah, that makes it good.
And one of those forms that you signed, Mick,
Yes,
kind of
was-
prompted
yes.
this because
Right,
our APA benefits that administers the benefits
right.
wanted this signed and approved, so.
So,
Aye.
so,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, do I want to make a motion?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-02, approve the changes to the district's AR&R as outlined in that resolution.
I'll second that.
In motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we don't need to do number 2. We've already had that discussion. Information discussion only, no action. Nathan, do you want to give an update on the legislation?
Yep, I know this is your favorite part of the meeting in the year. So I've got a few bills, I'll go through them quickly. The first is HB 147, that's going to require all government entities to provide an option for people to submit any forms or permit applications or things like that electronically. So, I mean, we can have the form and they can fill it out, there just needs to be a way that they can submit it electronically. I think that's already kind of happening via email, but now so I don't think that's going to be a big deal. Another one that actually may be important for you is HB 296. What that does is it allows for water that is being leased or provided to the Great Salt Lake, which you are doing, to be included in your 40-year plan, which is the topic of another bill that I'll get to. But essentially, with public entities like you guys, you can hold your water rights without perfecting them for a period of 40 years, and during that time, you're entitled to get any extension that you want. Once you hit 40 years, then the state's like, okay, we don't want you to just hoard water. You've got to have a plan showing how you're going to use it for the next 40. Actually, I think it's 50 years, and then you have to show how it's going to be used for the next 40.
So
And so-
if we have a plan, we're okay?
You're
Even-
okay.
We can even roll it over after the
Yeah,
40?
so the point is our state's water laws are intended to ensure that people actually use the water and they're not hoarding it. So public water suppliers are a little different. So for instance, if we were to go out and prove up all your water right now, the state engineer would just give you a certificate for what you're using right now, not for what your water rights are approved. And so for a growing community like you guys, you have a lot of water that you have on standby that isn't being used yet. That's the intent here. But the legislature or the state at the same time, it's like, okay, you've had this water, it's been approved for 50 years. Like, are you gonna need it or not? You gotta show us a plan that there is an actual chance it'll be used in the next 40 years. What this does is it says that if you're leasing water to the Great Salt Lake, that counts as part of your 40-year plan. So otherwise, absent this bill, if we continue to lease water to the Great Salt Lake, they could say, well, you're not using that water and that doesn't qualify. Does that make
Excuse
sense?
me.
So does this account also for groundwater, well water?
Yeah, but, well, what this bill does is any water right that you're leasing, which is almost always surface water, people aren't leasing groundwater to the lake, but I don't think it's limited to surface or groundwater. So the point is that, and we're gonna have to do a 40-year plan under another bill that I'll get to in a second, but when we do it, we can include those shares. So the next thing is HB 319. This, I think, is a good bill. It provides a process by which we can have electronic notary documents be filed with the county. It's not mandatory, but it provides an option by which the county recorders can allow that, so that makes it a lot easier if we can do electronic notarization instead of having people come and physically sign. We'll see what the county recorders want to do. There's some grammar changes. HB 325 is one. Leah will need to go over those. There's another bill, HB 349, that comes, it provides a new process by which you can apply for money from the Board of Water Resources to help increase reservoir capacity. I know you have a few small ones there. There was a big bill that we talked about, HB 501. This was the bill that was going to essentially require local water providers to impose a local income tax, essentially, to help fund infrastructure projects. It was modified several times, but as we estimated, I think it was going to be, $1,400 a year per connection. That bill ultimately did not pass at the last minute. Was kind of watching that to the end of the day. I do expect we're going to see something similar. My recommendation to rural water and to the UASD and the water communities in general is the water community needs to come up with a proposal. Because to be fair to the legislature, they are trying to fill a huge gap in the federal funding that we're no longer getting. And it's an issue that needs to be addressed. And if the water community doesn't come up with a way to fund it, then the legislature is going to keep coming up with proposals we may not like. The other one, there is a new bill, HB 535, that comes up with a new process by which a public entity has to follow before they can dispose of property. So for some of the properties we've acquired, if we ever wanted to sell them, the long and short of it is we have to go through a 45-day notice period so people have an idea that we're selling it. Perhaps the biggest bill that's going to require us to do things is SB 284. Each year, the legislature has a very large land use bill that is passed that isn't typically targeted at water, but often has tangential impacts. And that bill usually passes at the very end of the session. That was the case here. This was SB 284. It was passed at 11:45 on Friday, so 15 minutes before the end of the session. So what it does is it makes detached ADUs a permitted use. And I think we're going to have to sit down and figure out to change our AR&Rs on how to deal with that. We had some language a couple of years ago where it allowed basement ADUs to basically be a permitted use. And so that was something we'll need to work with. And the other one is what I said before, and that is if a water provider is requiring a water exaction, which has typically been a water dedication, you have to have a 40-year plan that I discussed before in order to do that, and you have to have that in place by January 1st, 2028. And technically, the way the bill's drafted is you have to have it. We all need to do it if you're a culinary water provider. And do we have a 40-year plan? Yeah. So we already have one. We're probably in good shape. We may want to update that now to include the water that we're leasing to the Great Salt Lake. And there were some other Great Salt Lake bills that allow for water to be, like for instance, if we wanted to add the Great Salt Lake as a permanent place of use for your shares, so that's another option now. So you wouldn't have to necessarily use it all the time. It would just be there for leasing when it's available. So that's essentially my report, unless you have any questions.
Cool.
Thanks, Nathan. We're all done now up there for right now.
Yeah, it'll just take us another couple months to implement it all.
Right.
Is this the large amount of the
Bills?
most bills they've
Yes.
ever had?
Every year is the most they have. So they broke a record last year. They had over 1,000 bills this year. There was legislation by Representative Okerlund to limit the number of bills. that the legislature can have, but it didn't make any progress. He's a new representative, and his argument was, we're introducing so many bills, we can't review them or vet them or process them appropriately, but that end of January through first week of March is just it's a marathon.
Were there bills they tried to pass that was out of the time limit?
There was, I think, one bill that there's a question on that, and I think they ultimately did determine that it was outside of the time limit, and that was one that Representative Tusher ran to create a process by which people in a first-class county, which is basically only Salt Lake County at this point, where they could divide it. And I think his motivation wasn't to force a split of Salt Lake County, but to give West Side interests and ability to split the county if they wanted to. But that, I think, passed just like a couple seconds after midnight. So I think that was one that they ultimately ruled, don't quote me, that it didn't pass in time.
You don't know if it passed or not?
Well, I know it passed. I just think it passed right after, because they have so many things. They are working, like, they're moving, and then midnight hits, and they just gotta, the coach turns into a pumpkin, and it's done.
Is that the one where they can make a county within the city?
No.
No,
That was.
divided up, right?
Yeah, well, it was a process. What he was trying to do is not force a split, but just say, hey, if you're in a county of the first class and you think it's too big and you want a smaller county, here's the process you go through to split into two.
And how long does that process take?
I don't know. The bill didn't, it passed, but it's not going into effect because it didn't pass in
It'll
time.
probably come up next year now.
Yeah, it'll come up next year.
And one of the ones that I really like the most too is the charter schools ain't equal with the public schools. So when the public school sells the land, they're not equal with us. The public schools don't have to we don't have to give the charter schools, first. They follow under the city and that for whenever they're selling.
So, yeah, so that bill was, so right now, certain municipalities that have a population density of over 3,000 people per acre have a first right of refusal if a school district sells property within their boundaries. Magna doesn't currently meet that because your density isn't that high, but what this bill was going to do, initially, it was going to give charter schools that first right of refusal.
Right.
The League and Mick and Kearns, Magna, and others pushed back on that, Holiday, and I think a couple other cities. And we were able to get it to be kind of a co-equal thing for every city. So every city would have a co-equal approach with the charter schools, regardless of population density. But then the bill ultimately didn't pass. So
Are we gonna see a lot more charter schools popping up now?
the state's very pro-charter schools, so I think we have, and I think we will continue to see them. I don't know if you'll see them. Usually charter schools, in my experience, seem to be proposed by developers in places where there isn't an existing school. And so here, where you already have pretty good coverage and you have a brand new school, it seems unlikely that there would be a need. But then you have concerned parents that just want to have a charter school that deals with specific things. So I don't know if you'll see any in Magna, but I think you'll probably see charter schools continue to pop up throughout the state.
How does the public gauge how full, I'm assuming if a charter school is filling up pretty fast, of course, there again, kids move on, get older, and then they go to high school, whatever, but how do they gauge how crowded the charter school becomes? I mean, if it gets real crowded, we better build another one, or?
Well, charter schools I'm not a charter school expert, first of all.
They're all funded through, tell me if I'm right or wrong, it's pretty much developers that are building these charter schools.
Yeah, but not always. Where I live in Daybreak, we've been there for almost 20 years, and we were in the old section, and the parents there started their own, which is still there. But I think the difference between a charter school is charter schools kind of have an admissions process. They're not required to take everybody the way a public school does. Right. So if you want to have your kid in a charter school, and charter schools aren't service area specific. So for instance, Cypress, people that live within Cypress's service area go to that school. But if you send your kid to a charter school, that charter school can be anywhere and the kid can go there. So charter schools have a little bit more of a say over how many people they accept and will control overcrowding.
I like the school district.
You may have to even apply for charter schools.
You do have to apply to charter schools, and a lot of them only have so many. So the one I mentioned in my neighborhood, my kids never went there, but it's a pretty competitive process to get in, because there's a lot of people that want to go, and there's only so many spots each year.
Wow.
It's public schools that have the overcrowding issue, because they have to take everybody.
And you know, the problem that I had about them being equal with us, I've lived out here my whole life in Magna, and I paid school district taxes, right, for the old high school and everything. So why should the charter still be able to come in and be able to take that school over? And we have lived out here and we've paid taxes for that school all these years.
So yeah, I think and this isn't my argument, but I think that where Representative Perucci, who ran that bill, was thinking is that charter schools are also funded with public taxes and money
Right.
too. And that it's a lot cheaper if they're a public entity as well to just acquire and use an existing building rather than having to build a new one. So that I think was what they were thinking.
Well, thank you for the update. So our next board meeting is going to be April 9th, 2026 at 10 a.m. here. We are in need of a closed session. So if someone wants to make a motion to close the open meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to take a brief recess and immediately following meet in closed meeting to discuss the purchase, exchange, lease, or sale of real property, including any form of water right or water shares, pending on reasonable imminent litigation and collective bargaining issues pursuant to Utah Code 52-4-204 through 205.
I'll second that.
Been motion, second, all in favor? Aye.
It is 12:11.
Does anybody we need someone to motion to close and open the open?
I'll make a motion to close the close and reopen the public board meeting. It is 1:15.
I'll second that.
Been motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to immediately meet. Oh, what's that?
We were gonna have a closed in personnel, but we don't need to.
Okay, we're good.
So do we have any other business that needs to come before this body? Are we all good?
I think we're good.
Okay, someone want to make a motion?
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
You need a second, Danny.
I'll second it.
Been motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.